Okay, so let's talk metrics for a little while. I want to show you some data from one of our clients. This is a new client. It's a brand new YouTube channel. The channel is only 3 months old. Very, 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 very niche industry. Like literally, there are probably 15,000 people in the entire country that fit into the market that this client serves, which is cool, not a problem. And so we're 3 months in, and want to kind of show you what we see in some of these cases and the questions that we're going to ask. Okay, so if I can do this correctly here, there we go. All right, so now I'm sharing this with you here. So let me tell you what you're looking at. So August 2024. So you see, this is, right now, right? It's just happened. This is brand new report, and we stripped out client information to protect the innocent, if you will, here. All right. So this first chart up here talks about website clicks. What we're looking at here is we track how many clicks we get from YouTube to her actual website. Okay, and so we're tracking all of that data because we want to understand that people aren't just viewing, but they're actually taking the next action. And when are they taking that next action? As we start to map the why, how, and what, and the movement of people in terms of what they're consuming. So let's take a look at August here, and we'll see that there were 113 clicks to her website, which represented 42%. Now, what that 42% means is 42% of people who viewed a video clicked a link and went to her website. 42% of the people. That's insane. It's great. It's wonderful. And it makes us feel really good. We feel good. Now, we would love the 113 number to be bigger. Of course we would. But it's 3 months into a very niche market. So we're actually pretty ecstatic about this. We're ecstatic about the 42%. So sometimes you might stop there because you're thinking, okay, that's the end metric. That's the metric that matters the most, right? Because everything else is really a a a a leading metric up to that one. That is the trailing metric that we say, hey, this is the thing that if this is right, all is well in the world. And at 42%, we feel like all is well in the world. Well, yes, we do, but we don't stop there. We do want to look a little bit deeper because we want to understand it some more. Okay? So we're going to look at three more metrics here from the month of August. So, number one, the number of videos published was 9 videos in the month, which is the most out of the 3 months that we've been working with her. Okay. Then we look at average percentage viewed. This is where I start to get a little concerned. Average percentage viewed at 17.3%, which is the lowest of the 3 months that we've been working with her. And honestly, we want average percentage viewed to be north of 30%. So, what average percentage viewed means, as the name kind of suggests, is of all of the viewers, how much, what percentage of your videos are they actually watching? Okay. And as a general rule, on a month to month basis, we want that to be north of 30%. So at 17%, I'm not loving that. I'm not loving that. The first month at 19.8, then we went up to 20.2. Said, okay, we're getting a little bit better. Dropping back down to 17. Not loving that. And when we see that, we start to ask questions about, is the content resonating with the viewer? Right? Why are they leaving after only 17% of the content consumed? But then we remember, but they're clicking, right? So something's happening at 17% that's causing them to say, yeah, I want more. I don't even need to watch the rest of this. Give me more. So are we happy? Are we upset with that? We're kind of on the fence with it because every now and again you do get that state where we're getting the end result, but the leading metrics aren't the best. And we start to ask, well, if we fix it, does it make it better? Does it make it worse? We don't know. Okay? So we keep our eye on it. We wanted to understand that a little bit better. The next thing, the next metric on here is the click through rate. Now, click through rate over the 3 months has gotten slightly better. Okay? Sorry, phone going off in the middle of doing this. Sorry about that, y'all. Um, yeah, so the click through rate has gotten slightly better, but not good enough. We want our click through rate to be at 6%. That's kind of the benchmark. Like 6% is really, really good. That's where we're going, and we're at 2.6, so we're not even halfway there yet. Now, what does the click through rate tell us? The click through rate tells us that YouTube has determined that our video was good enough to show to a user. And based on our video being shown to a user, 2.6% of the users that YouTube chose to show it to actually clicked on it and watched it. Now, it means that something is wrong there. And the two things that we look at when we see our click-through rate not where we want it to be are, number one, the thumbnail, because that's the first thing that someone consumes. When YouTube shows the video to someone, the first thing they consume is the thumbnail. And if the thumbnail doesn't grab them, they're going to move on, because we're human. We like pretty things, right? We like things that are going to grab us and intrigue us. And so they're going to move on to the next video that has something that catches their eyeball. Okay? So the thumbnail. And then number two is the title. Number two is the title. Okay? Number two is the title. Does the title say what they needed to say for them to say, I want to watch that video? Now, before you ask the obvious question of, well, you said the thumbnail, and how do we change the thumbnail to make it more attractive to our ideal customer? Here's the truth. There is no right answer. We've managed tons of YouTube channels, and I can tell you categorically, the formula that works for one channel with thumbnails will not work for another. It's a trial and error experiment that you've got to do. To make it worse, to be completely honest with you, we've mastered thumbnails on one channel and gotten click-through rates to great heights, and then 6 months later, they tank. Users change. We had to go re-engineer the thumbnails to get the click-through rate back up. Users change. It's an experiment, trial and error. Okay? I know you want some sexy formula. I wish I could give it to you, because I wish I had it. It would make our jobs and our lives so much easier if we did, but we don't. We don't. And there are a lot of people out there, people I know who manage really huge channels, who say, oh, here's the formula. That's the formula that worked for them. And we've tried those formulas, and it didn't work for most of our clients. Trial and error, trial and error. Okay, so now back to the click-through rate. So I'm sitting here at 2.6%, and I'm saying, okay, so we really want that higher. We really want that higher, but the people who are clicking are loving it. So do we change the thumbnail to get the click-through rate higher? Does that alienate the 2.6% that we are getting right now that are clicking, or does it bring us more of those people? Here's the honest truth. I don't know. And this is, I'm going to call it the beauty. This is the beauty of working inside of a platform like YouTube. It's like you're going to get these metrics, and sometimes you're going to get things, and you're going to say, well, I don't know which one was chicken and which one was egg. I don't know which came first. I don't know what's affecting the next thing. And when you do, sometimes you're able to look a little bit deeper. You're able to look a little bit deeper and see. So here's what I would do and what we are doing with these numbers here. We're going to go into YouTube. And when you go into YouTube and you go into analytics, you go to advanced. And unfortunately, I can't show you all of this right now because then I've got to take you into the client's account, which I can't do for privacy reasons, obviously. But you would go into the analytics, and you click on advanced, which is on the top right hand corner after you click on analytics. Okay, now you have to do this from a computer. You can't do it from your phone or an iPad. It does not work. You click on advanced, and here's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to go to traffic sources. Traffic sources. Okay, there's a tab for traffic sources. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to look at where is the traffic, where are these views coming from? Where are these views coming from? Okay? Because what I want to see here is, number one, we're getting really great click-through rate, but we also know we're driving traffic to YouTube from other social platforms. So the views that we're getting here, how many of those are coming from other platforms? And does that help us account for the click-through rate? Because we know on those other platforms, we're also targeting ideal customer. And so we're getting ideal customer in, and maybe they're viewing the video and they're the result of the click-through rate. That's what we want to see. Okay? We want to see if we're getting a lot of external views. That's how it would be labeled. It would be labeled external views. It doesn't break it out by channel and source. It's just going to be called external views. And if we see that, then we say, okay, we know that a lot of our views are coming from there, and so we can also make the assumption, I hate assumptions, but we can make the assumption in this moment that a lot of the clicks are coming from there as well. And so now we come back to our average percentage viewed and our click-through rate. And then we're going to ask this question: of the external views, what's the average percentage viewed? Because that average percentage viewed might be north of 30%, in which case, ding, 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 we know we're winning. And then we can look at the other traffic sources, and we may see with those, oh, we're not north of 30%, and that's why we're sitting at 17.3. Now, here's an important piece here. Click-through rate is only measuring when YouTube shows a video on its platform. So click-through rate has nothing to do with external views. The click-through rate is not affected by the external views. So if your external views are good, right, and your average percentage viewed of your external views is good, then you know when I'm looking at my click-through rate, the people that YouTube is showing my content to, they're not loving it. They're not loving it. Okay? At that point, we have to start asking other questions. And the question that we have to ask is, what's wrong? And I'll do a separate video on this, but what's wrong with our positioning? So clearly, if we're getting a lot of views from external, our positioning externally is good. We're getting the right people watching the videos externally. But then internally on YouTube, which is why our click-through rate is bad and our average percentage viewed on YouTube would be bad, the way we're positioning the video inside of YouTube is wrong. And we need to look at that and clean that up so that we can also position the video on YouTube so that YouTube is showing it to the right people so that we can get the same type of results. So that's what I'd be looking for. Now, as we go through, we may find something totally different. And this is where analysis happens. And we have to ask, okay, what am I seeing and what does it say? And this is where understanding your metrics and understanding your numbers happen. Now, when you get inside of YouTube, you're probably going to see tons of numbers that you don't have any clue what they mean. Reach out. If you've got something, you got a case, and you're like, I don't understand what's actually going on here, reach out to me and say, hey, this is my situation. Send me screenshots and we can talk about it and we can help you learn how to understand what YouTube is communicating to you in analytics so that you can create better content or position your content better, because it isn't always that you created bad content. Position your content better for your audience.